CBA, be a part of it all.
Death on the rails in Brazil. Crowded passenger trains slammed together, taking a heavy toll of killed and injured. This is the CBS Morning News. Good morning, I'm Forrest Sawyer.
And I'm Faith Daniels. It's Wednesday, February 18th.
And leading the news, railroad crews in Brazil this morning are pulling mangled trains apart after a crushing collision. At least 58 people were killed, 100 injured, but there's confusion about the exact casualty figures. The two crowded commuter trains collided in the suburbs of Sao Paulo, South America's biggest metropolis. The cause of this cannot yet be pinpointed. Officials are speculating that it was the failure of a signal or a switch. And in New York City last night, it could have been disaster, but two commuter trains were rolling at slow speed when they collided head-on. At least 25 people suffered minor injuries. All this happened on elevated tracks. One train was packed, the other empty.
In Washington this morning, Robert Gates faces more heat from the Senate Intelligence Committee. Gates is the president's choice to head the CIA. He clearly irritated key senators during the first hours of his confirmation hearings. Chris Kelly has the story.
Robert Gates resumes his testimony before the Senate Intelligence Committee this morning in what appears to be a longer confirmation hearing than expected. So far, his role in the Iran-Contra affair has dominated the proceedings. And Gates said he hadn't gone to higher authorities about the Contra fund diversion because he considered his evidence too flimsy.
I think in light of this experience of the last few months and all that has flowed from it, I certainly do wish that I had launched a more intensive investigation at that time.
Gates said the president kept the Iran initiative alive despite objections from key advisors. And he said it was a mistake not to notify Congress sooner about it. Had he been CIA director, Gates said he would have contemplated resigning over the issue.
Contemplate? Why wouldn't, without question, you resign?
The point at which I would contemplate resignation would be the point at which I made the judgment that the withholding had reached the point where it threatened that trust.
Gates got no argument when he said selling arms to Iran was a bad idea, but it wasn't enough to convince some senators that he would adhere to congressional oversight.
So what you're telling us is we can't rely on you as director of the Central Intelligence Agency under the existing law to tell us anything that's illegal going on in the National Security Council, even when it comes to your attention.
One senator backing Gates suggested he return today with a better rationale for his lack of action. The committee says it won't vote on Gates' nomination for at least 2 weeks. Chris Kelly, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
At the White House this morning, a chilly silence is reported. The Washington Post says Nancy Reagan has stopped speaking to Chief of Staff Donald Regan and wants him replaced. A Reagan spokesman denied it, but the Post says two well-informed sources confirm the silence.
But, Faith, there will be plenty of talking at the White House today when Israeli Prime Minister Shamir meets with President Reagan. Shamir has already clashed with Secretary of State Schultz, who supports the idea of an international Middle East peace conference with the Soviets at the table. Shamir objects, favoring direct talks.
I trust that the U.S. will not agree to substitute this proven course by Soviet-inspired notions supported by radical Arab nations, such as an international conference.
Schultz replies the United States would not fall for any Soviet-inspired plan. This morning, White House officials are confirming a CBS News report that President Reagan is lifting U.S. sanctions against Poland. The official announcement is expected by the end of the week. Polish church and trade union members have been lobbying for an end to the sanctions. They were imposed in retaliation for Poland's martial law, which has now been lifted. The Soviet Union says it is freeing another dissident, but continues to hold a man that it earlier promised to let go. A Soviet spokesman says psychiatrist Anatoly Kuryagin, a Nobel Prize nominee, has been pardoned. But the Soviets now say the case of Yosef Begun is still under review.
Wall Street may soon be renamed Bull Run. The market opens this morning with two more broken records in the books. Ken Prewitt is here now. I guess, Ken, a lot of this has to do with foreign money.
Lots of cash for Faith. A lot of it coming from Europe hit the stock market, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average gained a record 54 points to a new high of 2237. That's 36 points over the old high the market hit earlier this year. Now, the market was held back by Texaco, one of the 30 stocks in the Dow average. It fell nearly $2 a share because of that big damage award to Pennzoil. But Texaco's weakness was more than offset by another Dow stock. IBM went up nearly $4 a share in heavy trading. One of the big gainers was Piedmont Airlines, up 6 1/4 to 65 3/8 on news of a $65 a share cash tender offer from Norfolk Southern, the big railroad. For the first time since the most popular car in America was the Model T, Ford Motor Company has earned more money than GM. Ford earned $3.3 billion in 1986, $400 million more than GM's profits for the year. Investors applauded. Ford stock went up 2 3/4. In London this morning, gold is up 85 cents an ounce at $392.95. Silver went down a penny at $5.38. The dollar is slightly higher overseas this morning. Now, in a few minutes, we'll be talking with Monte Gordon of the Dreyfus Corporation about what's behind the market's big run and where we go from here.
I guess a lot of the talk this morning, Ken, has to be where the top of this market can possibly be.
Yeah, and whether it's going to blow up in our faces. That's what we'll get into.
Whether it's going to drop real fast, you mean? All right, thanks. I want to hear that one. You can hear the cheers from Texas all over the country this morning. The new Miss USA is Michelle Renee Royer. That's the 3rd year in a row that a woman from Texas has won the contest. Royer, 21 years old, says she might use her prize money to enroll in medical school after her reign as Miss USA. Bob Barker hosted the contest for 20 years, also a big winner. He pressured the producers to use fake fur coats, like this one in one of the production numbers. Barker, an animal rights activist, threatened to withdraw from the ceremony if they used real furs. The fur flew. Barker stayed.
No matter what you choose to wear today across Tennessee, North Carolina, and Virginia, make sure it is warm. Another stormy day ahead there with 1 to 3 more inches of snow in store for some areas. Combined with the snow that fell yesterday, and travel will be hazardous. Elsewhere, the sun will be out across the upper Midwest and lower Mississippi Valley and across the Southwest as well. Light rain may fall in some parts of the Northwest and in Florida. Still to come on the morning news, baseball's $2 million man. Also, a new effort to smoke out cigarette ads. And Sherlock Holmes' move over. There's a new identification technique that's even better than fingerprints.
A genetic fingerprint remains the same whether it's prepared from blood, hair roots.
Business. These days, it's no cakewalk. You want to get ahead? Use the tools of the trade.
Watch your step. Have a nice day.
Use the card rated best by frequent business flyers for travel and entertainment, the American Express card. And use United Airlines to give you more flights to more top business centers.
Tough climb, huh?
Yeah. Look, you know where you want to end up.
Wow. Nice view.
Why not make it a little easier on yourself getting there?
If you're up against the old boy network, subscribe to the Wall Street Journal. You'll find that to achieve success, you don't have to be old. And you don't even have to be a boy.
Call 800-445-6000 for this special introductory offer. 13 weeks for just $29.75 with a money-back guarantee. 13 weeks, $29.75. Phone 800-445-6000 now for the Wall Street Journal.
I just got dentures. But with Fixident, I don't get the dentures come a loose blues.
Fixident and forget it.
Denture wearers can't eat everything. But with Fixident, I can feast more than just my eyes.
Fixident and forget it. Fixident helps fix loose spots for a strong hold that lasts longer than any leading cream.
A woman in my position can't worry about hold.
Use Fixident and forget it.
I'll take that with climate control and 6-way power seats. Gotta have that.
How much can you save on 18 new Buick models? It's your option. You can save up to $1,200.
Oh, aluminum wheels. Yeah, that'll look sharp.
Sounds good,
huh? Power windows.
You can take your savings as a cash rebate. Apply it to the down payment or the lease payment. It's a better time to buy. So see your participating Buick dealer for details now.
Grand touring suspension.
Buick, where better really matters.
Ooh, and I want the concert sound system.
Some news from around America this morning. In Los Angeles, Twilight Zone director John Landis is taking the stand in his own defense today. He and 4 others are charged with manslaughter in an accident on the set that killed 3 people. In Hackensack, New Jersey, surrogate mother Mary Beth Whitehead faces cross-examination this morning in the Baby M custody trial. A psychiatrist testified yesterday that Whitehead is competent to raise the baby, contradicting other experts.
We have the evidence of past performance, that she has already raised 2 children in what appears to be an entirely adequate and satisfactory way.
White had agreed to bear a child for biological father William Stern and his wife Elizabeth, but now wants her baby daughter back. In New York City, stuntman John Carter parachuted into trouble with the law again. Carter, who once landed on the World Trade Center, jumped into a Manhattan park and into the waiting arms of the police, who promptly arrested him. It's illegal to parachute into the city.
Today's travel news for other travelers. United Airlines is canceling a number of money-losing routes. As of April 5th, the airline is dropping Fort Wayne and South Bend, Indiana, Toledo and Youngstown, Ohio, Green Bay, Wisconsin, Corpus Christi, Texas, Lansing, Michigan, and Freeport in the Bahamas. And in San Antonio, Texas, an Eastern Airlines DC-9 swerved as it was landing to avoid hitting a helicopter. The jet and the chopper passed within 100 feet of each other. But the FAA says it is not investigating the incident as a near collision because neither pilot filed a formal report.
If you're traveling today, weather won't pose much of a problem getting to most major cities. You may see some flurries in Denver and a little light rain in Seattle, though. But the worst place to be on the road today will be in Virginia, in for as much as 3 inches of new snow today on top of several inches yesterday. Now, here's a look at your weather. Philadelphia, a chance of flurries and 35 degrees. Lexington, Kentucky, light snow and 33. Milwaukee, sunny and 33. Little Rock, 40 and clearing skies. Las Vegas, sunny and mild, 60 degrees.
Hi, Kim Flannery here with Amy Leonard, owner and operator of Easy Way Fitness. Finally a place that gets the job done without making outrageous claims. How's it work, Amy?
It's isometrics. The tables tone the muscle that you have. You lose inches, not pounds.
What I like about it is the tables don't mess up my clothes. It really is no sweat, fuss, or pain.
Think of it as the pre-fitness way, back into shape.
And no expensive memberships either.
That's right. Pay as you go.
Call Easy Way today at 276-8531 and ease your way back into shape.
Come on, be a part of it all. Be a part of it all. Come on and catch the spirit.
Live every Thursday evening, the Lucky Stars are on TV8 when they spin to win a dream come true on the Iowa Lottery Jackpot Show. And live on Saturday night, you'll see this week's 6 winning numbers revealed on the official Iowa Lotto drawing right after the TV8 news at 6:28. Don't miss live, official lottery results right here every week, only on TV8.
You and TV8, be a part of it all.
A New York lawyer is the latest to be arrested in Wall Street's insider trading scandals. Israel Grossman is accused of passing confidential corporate information to friends and relatives, who in turn are alleged to have made $1.5 million in illegal profits. The trading scandal and the record Dow has everyone in a whirl on Wall Street. Ken Prewitt and Dreyfus Corporation analyst Monte Gordon join us now to put the situation into perspective. Welcome.
Well, welcome.
With everything that is going on, the big shopping spree and the insider trading sale, what's really going on here? What's at work?
Well, what you're looking at here is a realistic appraisal of beauty is in the eye of the beholder. The market has shifted its emphasis from concern over where interest rates might go over to a prospect that the economy is beginning to show some strength. And as a consequence of that strength, the market is moving higher in anticipation of improved earnings. That strength is not expected to bring on any significant inflation, nor is it expected to bring on any significant rise in interest rates. So the market moves ahead, even though Chairman Volcker is going to testify in front of the committee, before the committee tomorrow, and people are concerned about what he will say. But right now, the market is in effect saying that the outlook for the economy is fairly comfortable, and that's where it's going. But there's a lot of money out there.
Where's all that money coming from?
Money is coming from abroad. Foreign sources. It's also coming from a shifting of the allocation of assets inside of various pension funds, because cash positions are down, actually. But the fact of the matter is people are shifting from debt over into equity, and that's making a great deal of difference. But this is like, the closest thing this is to the fabled fountain of youth that Ponce de Leon looked for. Every time the market comes down, it draws on that wellspring, it gets rejuvenated, it goes back up. So your corrections are relatively shallow at this particular point.
Money, is it too late to get in? And if it's not too late, where do you put the money?
It's not too late, Kim, but you have to take a longer-term perspective, because clearly you are at risk. The perceptions of the market could change at any moment in the context of, gee, the economy's not doing that well, and it comes down. If I were going in there, I would have to do it fairly on a cyclically responsive basis, things like drugs, things like some of your paper companies, your forest product companies, your retail trade would have to be an area that you would go to. But you would be looking essentially also at consumer sectors and that some of your cyclical responsive. The cyclical responsive because you do anticipate that the economy will do better, if only because the American industry has put such a major effort forth to improve its cost efficiencies.
What happens if some of this optimism disappears about the economy?
If this optimism changes, and you must remember markets move on the basis of perception, not necessarily what actually does happen. If this changes, and it could change abruptly, the market will go down. Right now, the market's attitude is...
Are we talking about it going down, or are we talking about it exploding?
No, you're talking... Well, you could have as much as a 150-point decline in the Dow in a single day.
All right, Monte Gordon, we thank you, and Ken Prewitt as well.
And let's turn to sports now. It was a rare loss at home for the Los Angeles Lakers at the hands of the red-hot Washington Bullets. Why? Well, the Bullets have Moses Malone. He led everybody with 27 and 19 rebounds. 20 of those points came in the second half as the Bullets broke open what was a close game. The Lakers have lost 3 times at home all season. Pat Riley says it wasn't their night.
We just got ourselves caught in the hole. We're out of sync and didn't get the job done. Everybody was a step slow and a beat off tonight. It was just like a rock band trying to play a symphony.
And other NBA games last night in overtime. The Spurs beat the Nuggets. The Hawks trimmed the Pistons.
Baseball season hasn't begun yet for us, but New York Yankee Don Mattingly is off to a great start. He won his salary arbitration case and will earn $1,975,000 this year. He talked about the wheeling and dealing with Yankee owner George Steinbrenner.
We both agreed to keep the hard feelings out of it. No bitter back and forth in the paper. So I feel like everything has been handled on a professional level. There was no personal attacking in the during the hearing or anything like that. It was a very just a clean hearing to me.
But the expectations are up. Steinbrenner said he did at least expect a pennant now for Mattingly. And that's it in sports this Wednesday, February 18th.
If you're just joining us on the CBS Morning News, these are the top news stories. President Reagan's choice to head the CIA faces another session in the witness chair this morning. Round 2 of Robert Gates' confirmation hearings could be just as grueling as round 1. Gates acknowledged that the CIA made significant errors in the Iran-Contra affair. Israeli Prime Minister Shamir meets privately with President Reagan today at the White House. The Iran affair is certain to come up. Shamir still believes contacts with Iranian moderates are desirable. And at the scene of Brazil's train disaster this morning, crews are prying apart the twisted wreckage. 2 crowded commuter trains collided in the suburbs of Sao Paulo. Officials are saying this morning that at least 58 people were killed, about 100 injured. They say the investigation will take a week.
In Beverly Hills, the controversy is over a harsh new ban on smoking. Last night, the City Council gave preliminary approval to an ordinance prohibiting smoking anywhere in restaurants and theaters. The final vote is due in 2 weeks, and restaurant owners are vowing to fight it, saying it will drive customers away. And in Congress today, a total ban is being proposed on tobacco advertising. Steve Young reports that ban also faces a fight.
For decades, cigarette commercials were a television fixture.
Old Gold, the cigarette that treats you better in every way.
But they were banned by Congress in 1971 as a misuse of the public airways.
Oh, Lucky Strike means fine tobacco.
Today, legislation will be introduced that would clamp down further, ending tobacco ads in newspapers and magazines.
I have no problem with adults choosing to smoke. The problem that I have is that the advertising and promotion is geared towards our children. And it's our children that we're trying to protect.
Signer's bill also would eliminate tobacco billboard advertising and sports promotion. The federal law would bar advertising of all tobacco products, even the distribution of free samples.
Any disease that kills 1,000 Americans every day, as tobacco does, is extremely perilous.
The ban would be a blow to the health of American newspapers and magazines, which get $2 billion a year in tobacco advertising, and argue that it just wouldn't work.
In fact, in Europe, there are 15 countries that have banned forms of advertising and promotion of cigarettes. And in 14 of those 15 countries, cigarette consumption continues to rise.
The ad industry says the proposed ban would be unconstitutional.
Why not ban dairy products and meats? Because we've now identified the #1 killer in this country is heart disease, and the #1 reason for heart disease is cholesterol.
Supporters of the bill are looking for a smoke-free society by the year 2000 if they can defeat the powerful tobacco lobby and get Congress to snuff out tobacco advertising. Steve Young, CBS News, New York.
If Sherlock Holmes were still alive, he and Watson would probably be pretty excited this morning. Excited about a new high-tech method to identify people. As Richard Wagner reports from England, it's far more sophisticated than the old magnifying glass and dusting powder.
There's still only one infallible system of identification: fingerprints.
That may have been true once, but no longer. A British researcher has discovered a better system of identification using the body's genetic material, DNA. When processed, the DNA prints out on film a series of identifiable bands that stamps out a pattern unique to each person on the planet. The discovery may well have an enormous impact on the judicial system.
It's relevant to paternity cases, highly relevant to immigration cases, and very, very relevant to forensic examination.
British police are using the DNA fingerprint technique in trying to solve the rape and murder of two 15-year-old schoolgirls. The crimes were 3 years apart, but DNA analysis of a semen sample found in both bodies produced a vital clue.
The same person was involved in both incidents.
Police are asking all men between 17 and 30 who live near the scenes of the crimes to voluntarily give samples of blood and saliva and therefore eliminate themselves from suspicion.
You consented to both, yes.
But some volunteers later said privately that the test made them feel like criminals, and the new technique has some civil libertarians worried that investigators might be tempted to use the information given for this specific case to try to solve other crimes.
There are no guidelines. There is no control over the use of that information.
In another area, because the DNA test proves paternity as well as identity, immigration authorities think the test could revolutionize immigration procedures. 15-year-old Sajidor Rahman was first denied entry to Britain by authorities who questioned the identity of his parents. Were they really his mother and father? In desperation, the family requested proof by genetic fingerprinting.
So I have got no other way to, that is my last chance to the case.
The story has a happy ending. DNA analysis proved that Sajidor Rahman was irrefutably his father's son. The developer of the technique, Dr. Alec Jeffries, says the chance of two people having identical genetic fingerprints are 1 in a million.
If we were to analyze people at the rate of 1 million a second, we would not find a chance match like that until the death of the universe itself.
Richard Wagner, CBS News, Leicestershire.
Some items on today's news agenda. They are counting votes in the Republic of Ireland's general election. Opposition leader Charles Haughey's party is confident of victory. In Los Angeles, the defense gets a chance to tell its side of the story in the Twilight Zone manslaughter trial. Today, John Landis, director of the film, testifies for the first time. Good news for Beatles fans. A new digital hi-fi video version of their 1965 movie Help is being released today.
You're on your way.
Kids and science can really get together in the right kind of place. So Dow has developed and funded the Touch Tech Laboratory here at Impression 5 in Lansing, Michigan.
In this particular experiment, we're going to make a solid out of two liquids.
It's a hands-on museum that puts the wonders of science at a child's fingertips.
Here you go, PJ.
And who knows what that could lead to.
Dow lets you do great things.
It began as a simple test to see what hundreds of business people preferred. Long-distance calls made on the fiber optic lines of U.S. Sprint or calls made on AT&T's lines. Over 75% preferred the clarity of U.S. Sprint, and over 90% of them said they'd switch. That's not a test. That's a landslide. Call U.S. Sprint. We're building the first and only 100% fiber optic network clear across America.
Morning, the way we close a deal, it's the way we share a secret, the way we end a meal. Drinking all kind of coffee, good to the last drop. Hey, only Maxwell has fresh flavor, tastes like coffee made our way. Only Maxwell has fresh flavor, tastes like coffee made our way.
In Los Angeles, civil liberties groups are hailing the temporary release of 8 immigrants who were jailed as suspected terrorists. But they still face deportation hearings in April in what Arab Americans claim is an administration campaign against aliens who are unjustly accused of terrorist ties. We have a report from Chris Blatchford of KCBS Television.
It began as a tense afternoon. Nearly 300 members of Arab support groups marched in front of the federal building as 2 members of the militant Jewish Defense League taunted them.
Hell no! PLO! Deport them now!
It almost came to blows. INS security men at one point cleared the hallways of the federal building as the tension moved inside. Inside, where government attorneys described the PFLP as the most reprehensible of all terrorist organizations. Immigration Judge Ray Daniel didn't refute the charge, but wanted to know if any of these 7 Palestinian defendants and 1 Kenyan woman are members of that group. The government couldn't convince him they are. When the judge agreed to release 5 of the defendants on their own recognizance and 3 others on small bail amounts of $3,000 or less, there was celebration on the federal doorstep.
That story from Chris Blatchford of KCBS TV in Los Angeles. Checking the latest satellite weather picture now, another cloudy day ahead for much of the east, with another small storm leaving snow from the Ohio Valley to the mid-Atlantic coastline. We're going to have sunshine today for the Midwest and for the desert Southwest, while clouds will cover the Great Basin and eastern Rockies. And now, let's go across America and have a look at your weather. Partly cloudy and 33 degrees in Boston, snow, and 34 in Richmond, Virginia. St. Louis, Missouri, afternoon sun and 37. Norman, Oklahoma, sunny and 41 there. Reno, Nevada, a high near 50 with mostly clear skies.
Here's Doug Kretzinger with today's job news from Job Service of Iowa.
Thank you and good morning. The first job we have on today's job news is for a data entry operator. Actually, there are temporary openings for up to 350 hours. Pay will be $5.78 an hour. The next job is for a supervisor. You'll need a background in operating room techniques and as an LPN. Prefer someone with supervisory experience. You'll be getting paid $7.32 to $9.23 an hour. And here's a job for a clerk typist. Some insurance experience would be helpful. The hours will be 8 to 4:30 p.m. And the final job is for a pension clerk. You must be able to type hard copy from dictated material. And for more information on these and other jobs, you can contact Job Service of Iowa at 8230 Hickman Road or 150 Des Moines Street here in Des Moines. And that's a look at today's job news.
Some changes for people this morning. Evangelist Oral Roberts' broadcasts are being dropped by WFAA-TV in Dallas. The station says viewers complained about Roberts saying God will take his life if he fails to raise $4.5 million by March. Dr. Robert Gale, the bone marrow specialist who treated victims of the Chernobyl disaster in the Soviet Union, is writing a book about his experiences. Gale says he'll also discuss the future role of nuclear energy. And Bernadette Peters has been chosen by Harvard's Hasty Pudding Club as Woman of the Year. Club members, dressed as women, paraded Peters around Harvard Square in honor of the occasion. Next week, ballet star Mikhail Baryshnikov will be honored as Man of the Year by the club.
Finally this morning, New York is talking about a reluctant winner. 20-year-old Melanie Richards won the state lottery last November, but she waited until yesterday to claim her $12 million prize. Why did she wait so long? Well, Melanie says she was worried about becoming a celebrity and having her life turned upside down. A day late, but certainly not a dollar short.
Somehow I think I'd be willing to risk this celebrity.
For $12 million?
We'll be back at the top of the hour with updates on all of the major morning developments.
This is CBS. Next on Our Magazine.
When you become the observer of the pain, you're in control. When you're the victim of the pain, you're out of control.
The new medicine of tomorrow. Understanding the power of the mind over the body. Also on the medical front.
I predict that in the future, more and more drugs will be delivered by this route.
Dr. Rosenfeld reports on a new alternative to pills. Plus, Gary Collins welcomes Kelly Savalas and singer Gary Puckett. Be a part of it all on Our Magazine, afternoons at 3 on TV8.
When I was doing cocaine, I lied to everyone about everything. But worst of all,